From experience and charisma to gender and race, a variety of factors goes into the selection of a candidate for vice president. Many supporters believe Kamala Harris has a solid resume.
Because it is so diverse, the experience that she has had. She's been the DA, she's been the AG, running the second largest Justice Department in the country, second only behind the federal Justice Department. And then she's been a senator now. There's nobody who has a more progressive voting record than she has.
Mizell was working in criminal and social justice in the Bay Area when Kamala Harris first became a district attorney there. Despite the resentment by some liberals at the selection of a public prosecutor as a vice presidential candidate at a time when the country is facing a national movement against police brutality, Mizell argues Harris was no ordinary prosecutor.
A police officer was murdered and another was wounded. And the entire state of California, it seemed like, was coming for her because she decided that she was not going to seek a death sentence against the defendant. Both then California senators called on her to seek a death sentence, and she stood by her campaign promises and she stood by her principles, and she did not do it. But I thought that I would never see her again.
She not only survived political challenges like this one, but rose up to the position of state attorney general and then U.S. senator. Kamala Harris is the first woman of color to be nominated for national office by a major political party, and while some analysts say her background could help get more votes from specific demographic groups, others argue there are factors at play beyond race and gender, especially when it comes to picking a vice president to run with a candidate like Joe Biden.
There are kind of unspoken but sort of spoken concerns on the part of a lot of voters that he's pretty old and, you know, maybe he's just going to have to step aside at some point. Something might happen. So he wanted a number two who clearly would be acceptable to voters as a future president of the United States.
Shrey Go is a Democratic strategist who's also been teaching political science for 20 years. He says traditionally, the influence of a VP candidate on election results has been limited.
First of all, voters are focused on the presidential candidate, number one. And number two, as I said, when you're running against an incumbent, to a large degree, they're really focused on whether or not they want to reelect somebody who already has the office.
Kamala Harris' candidacy is expected to energize some Democrats, but how much influence her role will have over voters in swing states remains to be seen. Ediz Tiyansan, CGTN, Los Angeles.